Hello, everyone, and welcome to Football Nuggets. Today, we'll continue with our preview of the group stage of the African Nations Cup, where we will look at Group B, where we have the likes of Senegal, Zimbabwe, Guinea, Malawi. We'll also look at other news that are coming up from the African Nations Cup scene. El Hadji Diop, the former African Footballer of the Year, tipped his country to win the African Nations Cup ahead of Nigeria, Cameroon, and Egypt. Is that going to be a second time coming for Senegal? Knowing the fact that El Hadji Diouf was a part of that generation of Senegalese players that were expected to win the Nations Cup and couldn't win it. So would this be a second time? Would this be a second time coming for Senegal? And let's see how they will fare going into this Nations Cup, where they have the likes of Sadio Mane, they have the likes of um, Chiote, and virtually a whole host of players that they have. Well, let's see. Um, I have with me on the show today Brenda. We want the show to be much more diverse, so we'll look at Group B. Other guests are going to join us, but Brenda is part of an in-house uh, person. So I just want her to be on the show today because she have vast experience. Also, I have with me as well John as well on the show. I have Roland also to join us shortly as well. So my panel will be on pretty soon. Um, I just want to say that the Senegalese side are expected to win Group B, and as they are expected to win Group B, we'll see who will follow with the likes of Zambia, Guinea, and Malawi. So the team are going to dissect it. Also, there are other happenings in other areas of the Nations Cup, like Nigeria, the Nigerian Super Eagles just landed in Garua this morning ahead of their first clash with Egypt for the Nations Cup. So let's see how the team go. Let me bring in my guests. Brenda. Hello, good morning, and Brenda. Good morning, John. And nice to be on the show today. Yesterday we had a fantastic show, and hopefully today we'll have another good show going forward. Roland is going to join us pretty soon. So let's see if we can look at Group B of the African Nations Cup and other news as well that will come up. So let's look at Group B. Senegal are on top of are on that group, followed by Zimbabwe, Guinea, and Malawi. So how will this group shape up going into this Nations Cup? I know Senegal are expected to win the group, followed by Guinea, then possibly a loser spot for Zambia or Malawi. So would there be any surprise in this group? Looking at the caliber of players the Senegalese have
Well,
and the caliber of players that have Brenda, please go on.
all right. So looking at thank you so much, Philip, for inviting me on the show. First of all, so looking at the Senegalese side from their history of AFCON appearances, I would say they stand a better chance. And being that yes, they've not won any AFCON before from the history books, but they've been progressive in terms of appearances, in terms of records. They've made it to the finals, to the semi-finals. They've made it to they've qualified. They've ended up with the fourth position so far, consecutively back to back, and they've been in 15 appearances in the AFCON so far out of the 33 ones that have been played. And here they are again, trying to make it to another round of the AFCON. So if you look at the table, for me, I think Senegal stand a better chance to qualify in this group and then to top the group and maybe make it to the next round because of their history when it comes to the tournaments generally. And I'm saying I wouldn't know the state of their players right now, but looking back at their history, you see that they have been, consistent in terms of making it to a better stage, almost to the finals. almost to the semi-finals and the quarterfinals, and they don't get to win the. Fortunately, they've never won the AFCON, but we hope that this time around it will be different because I mean, as time goes on, people come up differently, and better players come up, and then things have changed in terms of football. So hopefully, this time around, they are more prepared to get not just to the quarterfinals but also to the finals. Maybe for me, Senegal will take the group.
Okay, John, do you agree with former African two-time African Footballer of the Year, El Hadji Diouf? Despite during his time with the Senegalese team, he had wonderful players around him, like the likes of Ferdinand Coly, the likes of Kalilu Fadiga, the likes of the late Papa Bouba Diop, and a lot of good players around him. And that team couldn't win it. Even the 1992 Senegalese team that were expected to win it also couldn't win it. Those sides are very, very good sides. Do you think this current Senegalese side that parade the likes of Sadio Mane, the likes of uh, Napoli, Koulibaly, and a whole host of players that are physical strong, do you think that this team will go all the way to the final?
Well, thank you. Good morning. I definitely believe this that they can go all the way because if you look at the team, what we have now is a blend of playing European football and also mixing it with the proper African football. You see, the issue I always had, I used to have with the Senegalese was they play purely power football whenever they came to the continent. But right now, you can see that there is a huge blend of it. You're having the Ismail Assar from Watford, you're having Sadio Mane, you're having perhaps one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper in the world behind them in Eduardo Mendy, and a very, very, very trusted centre back in Koulibaly. So you have a very good team that is balanced. All of this now, it all comes down to the tournament mentality. The squads you mentioned, the squad of 2002, that squad was never progressive. The squad came to its peak at that 2002, and straight after it had a decline. So what I'm expecting in this team now has been having that progression. Last AFCON they were in the final, so you're expecting that right now they should even go further. So what I'm expecting from them is nothing less than what Ela is also expecting, which is to go home with the coveted trophy. However, however, as I always say, the North Africans have a way of always upsetting West African teams. I believe that is why they what we count against Senegal. If they do not calm down and know how to do the African mentality when playing African tournaments, that might count against them. We saw in the last final, Senegal were obviously the better team, yet Algeria took home the trophy because of just little intricacies they know how to play well. That African teams, North African teams, they've always been very good at that. So West African teams have to know how it works. So, but if everything goes well for this Senegalese team, I'm sure they are the team to beat in this tournament. Not to mention the group at all.
Yeah.
Okay, Brenda, when you look at the controversy gradually brewing in that group, knowing fully well that the Zimbabweans are a step closer to getting a FIFA ban, thereby allowing the likes of Zambia on standby, knowing fully well. What do you really think that, with respect to that FIFA ban, we all know how FIFA takes their ban seriously when it comes to interference,
Seriously.
government interference. Do
Yeah.
you really think
I,
that? You really think that the Zimbabweans, sorry, will get that FIFA ban, and then it will make the group shape up when you have Zambia coming into that
Zambia.
group, and we all know Zambia with their experience in the 2012 Nations Cup where they won it. Do
Yeah.
you think that
Um,
such kind of a thing will happen in that group?
yes, like I always say, it is my language. So always say anything can happen in terms of football. And if you look at Zimbabwe, they've had a history with the FIFA, and they had a clash with FIFA before, and they've had a ban. They've been issued a ban for a good period of time before they came back. And here we are again in the same situation. So really, right now, we're open to anything to happen. I mean, 9 minutes things are happening at the last minute. We had the back to NPF. We had this issue with Enyimba and Atihad. That was a 9 minute situation. And then looking at Liverpool and Arsenal, the match that was postponed, that was also a 9 minute situation. So here we are looking at Senegal and Zimbabwe being issued a ban by FIFA for certain issues they've had over the time. And recently, I like like my colleague here rightly said, in Africa we have this way of playing power football, and we are just getting to that place where we're trying to to organize ourselves. So I mean, anger is not you can't neglect anger from football. People will always get angry and do stuff or say things that are not supposed to be said. But that is why we have rules. So you have to abide by rules. So if Zimbabwe is going to be issued a ban and then Zambia will take in the position, I think the group we have a little bit of, for me personally, looking at Zambia's history, the group will have a little bit of shape and competition. There'll be more competition looking at Senegal, Zambia, and then maybe Guinea, and Malawi. Malawi, it's a little bit on the downside, but for me, I think if that happens to Zimbabwe, then the group will be more interesting to watch. This particular group clash will be more interesting to watch because you're looking at Zambia with a good football record and know their history in AFCON, and then looking at Senegal, who are also aspiring to take back the trophy. Basically, to be a good clash. But I wish Zimbabwe all the best. I hope this doesn't turn out in the other way around for them, like it happened years back.
Okay, to our viewers out there, please, we oblige you to click on the subscribe button, share and like our videos, and hopefully, probably you will get us there going forward. Um, okay, John, how do we going forward? How do we mitigate this um, government interference with respect to especially the African nations? How do we mitigate? How do we stop this government interference from happening so that we don't get under the wrath of FIFA?
Well, for African nations, I don't think that would happen in the next decade because one,
That
if if you take funding has whoever plays the piper definitely detects the tune. Now,
yeah.
most especially West and Southern African countries, government sponsors football. Now, you don't expect I'm putting my money into something and I can't have a say in it.
Have a say.
We, I can't have a say. Definitely, you must have a say in whatever you're putting your money in. So,
But the-
if it's the issue of
but let me tell you, the most richest national team in the world is the English team, and we know
mm,
that the government are also funding the English team as well. We all know that, and also we know that the English team, the English FA have a kind of way of generating funds for the English national team as well. Maybe some part of the money will be coming in from the government side, but the government don't interfere in their football. I know we all know how old the English team is, but the government do not interfere so as to the French national team, so as to the Italian national team, and even the Spanish national team. Yes, these countries they've uh, grown with respect to how far their football have gone. Why don't we learn from them on in this part of the world as Africans?
trust me, the government runs the football in most of all these countries. The only thing is that they trust the administrators enough to go through
To
the
handle it.
administrators when coming into the
Yes.
football.
Without
They
interference.
call they are very very involved in the football, but they whenever they want to go, they want to interfere. They don't come out wholly to interfere because they trust the administrators. They go through the administrators and do what they want to do. If you go through what's the issue with the issue happening at Barcelona, for instance, now do you think that the whole court cases and the whole this that the former administrators are facing, do you think that's coming from the FA? It's coming from the government because they've seen that they've practically run down a club. And see, everywhere you go to, the government will definitely be involved in football. For heaven's sake, these are people's investments. Okay, let's now come to our own segment, our own set of football. You're talking about the entire 20 teams in the Nigerian Professional League now. I think only Remo Stars can boastly can say they are the only privately owned team.
And MFM or something like that. MFM. I think MFM also is owned by church organization, not government.
Okay, hello John, are you there, John? Okay, some technical issue with John, but let's move on back to Brenda. Do you think can we
Yes.
really
So like he
separate
was
politics?
rightly saying,
Okay, can we separate politics from football, or both of them goes hand in hand
yeah,
at
like
the
John
current
was
stage?
like John was rightly saying, it's not possible when it comes to Africa. We have quest for power. We want our voice heard, but we don't know how to go about it. That's the situation. I mean, football cannot be politicized. That's the truth. Because once you start doing that, we're not getting the quality that we should get as a continent or as a nation. Because everybody has an interest. Once your money is somewhere, you want to have something done the way you want them done, regardless of the situation. That notwithstanding that they have a procedure that things need to go through. If you're saying don't invite Europe-based players, then make sure that we don't invite Europe-based players for a tournament at AFCON. If you're saying take only home-based players for the World Cup, make sure we do that. Don't have a situation whereby we're going back and forth. That's the clear evidence that there's government, there's politics in it. Because people have interest, they want to have some certain player. There's a rumor that came up that okay, Odion Igalo paid a certain coach to have him come back to the national team. And there are a whole lot of this kind of rumors going on. But we can see that actually there's no smoke without fire. So if somebody is saying this and then we are seeing this happening, because looking at Odion, we don't have it. I for one like him a lot, but when his comeback was not called for. So you could have agreed with the rumor that he actually did pay someone to come back. So who could that be? You could have, then the other time I saw Amaju Penny traveled all the way to go and have dinner into this house in England. And I'm like, okay, this is not supposed to be done. I mean, it's good to check on your players, it's good to hang out with them, but it just gives this kind of atmosphere that there's politics everywhere. You have favorites, you have interest, and then you're publicly doing all of this because you're in government. His position is an elected position, so it can be anybody. That means he's still in government. But if we come to the place where we have to understand that this thing is owned by government play the back role while we do the things the way it's supposed to be done, we will get the quality of players we all want as a continent. Let me bring it up. As Nigerians, we'll get the quality of players because I always say there are lots of players right now on the continent. And what just happened with the 28-man squad, that we had a lot of players being swapped because of restrictions, because of club refusing to send some players over. If only the government, if only the system was really pure and clean, we have a lot of players on the continent that can be easily reached and that have actually featured in the Super Eagles before. So what stops you from getting these guys? I always say that if there's a system of getting 50-50, for instance, okay, government, you have 50% of players you can call into the national team, and then the rest 50 goes to the NFF to do what is needful. So we can have a blend of both,
Okay.
politicized players and talented players. Basically. So for me, it's a long journey. It's not something we're going to start in one day. But I think we're getting there gradually. We're learning from this, like you rightly said, England and the likes. We're learning from them. Plus, they're even our colonized. They colonized us, so we should pick from them. The government funds the national team, but you don't see them everywhere in the face of the national team. You see the player, the body doing the right thing, scouting for players where they are supposed to be scouted for, going extra miles to get the team in perfect shape. And then
Yeah,
at the
no,
end of the
but
day, they get
because
results that they
it's
put
because they
aside
have
because
it's because the likes of England have a functional league, the EPL, second to none
we
globally.
can also have a
The Serie A
functional.
as well.
That was the same thing I was saying.
No, we
But we
have a
can
league,
also
but
have a
not a functional
functional.
league.
But
We
what's
have
wrong
a league,
with
but not
having
a
a
functional
functional
league. So
league?
let's go back to the Group B. How do you see Guinea that parades the likes of Liverpool's Keita? How do you see that they will fare in this group? Will they
Yeah,
go ahead?
yeah,
Would they go ahead to cause problem for Senegal? Despite we know how
yes,
they really performed
yes,
in the last Nations Cup,
yes,
will they cause
yes.
problem for the Senegalese?
Yes, like I would like to always say I had to go through their AFCON appearances and AFCON history just to know basically which team should come in accordance. I had the group A's. I just know which team is stronger, which team is weaker. And for Guinea, I'm actually impressed. I didn't know they had that much history appearances in the AFCON. 13 appearances so far. They've actually tried. The best result they've had is the runners up in 1976. But again, they played fourth place again in according to FIFA ranking, they are 81 in the FIFA ranking. That's December
Yes,
release
yes.
of 2021. Yes, but I would say that they are not on the Senegal level because they've not had so much successive results. They've not made it past the group stage. in the tournament, despite their 13 appearances so far. The best result they've had is runner-up, which is a good one. When they lost to Algeria, I think Algeria 1-0 or so, something like that, 1970. That's some years back. But so if you look at their history so far, their appearances in the AFCON, you say, being that it's a familiar tournament for them, and being that they've always been making progressive appearances, they can stand a chance to come to cause a problem with Senegal. And like you said, they have the likes of the Liverpool guy, and Senegal on the other hand, a whole lot of team put together. Mendy, this guy, what's his name? The black guy that you just called, the black guy from in
Mendy, Sadio
Liverpool.
Mane, yeah. They have
Yes,
uh,
Sadio Mane,
They
and
have
the likes
Piatti, Ismail Assar.
from
A
Napoli.
very strong side, a very strong, and
Yes,
Senegalese
yes,
have
from
this
Watford.
French affiliation. They have some crop of players coming in from the French League on as well. So I just think
Yes,
that they'll
yes,
just be too powerful. I just see, for me,
and
a
you
lot of
see,
people are even tipping them to go all the way to the finals to win, just like how they were
yes,
tipped last
yes, yes,
to win that.
yes.
Okay,
Because unlike
also,
unlike unlike Salah of Egypt, who has just himself and the other guy, he doesn't have a whole team of players, playing in his league in the team. It's going to be the most of his players are
exactly.
home-based players. So we're going to see so much of Salah's performance, like it or not. I hope he gets the best, but Senegal really stand a chance to make it through to the finals with the squad they have, the goalkeeper. So if you're taking the ball to the net, you're sure to meet Mendy there. You're not sure of making it to the back of the net. So you see the whole lot of they're really the stronger team for me, despite the fact that I have
So
Nigeria, which I'm a huge
what
fan
if
of.
the likes of Malawi, if the likes of Malawi shock the Senegal in one of
There's
the
no
matches?
shock, Philip. There's no shock that can happen right here with Senegal and Malawi. I said it earlier before we even got to Malawi. So Malawi, sorry, it's down there on the bottom of the table. But let's keep it open. We don't know what can happen. Miracles can happen, right? And this is Africa. We believe in miracles and
Yeah,
prayers and
miracles can
whatnot. So, but looking at the table, looking at the formation, looking at the countries, and looking at their history in the AFCON, there's no way Malawi will make it up to the top. There's no way on this particular group. And in Senegal, I'm hoping to meet up with them at the finals. I'm saying we because Nigeria, it's a hope and pray situation for us to meet up with Senegal at the finals because they look like
okay.
the best team in the tournament.
Okay, let's digress a little bit from Group B. We'll come back to Group B. Let's let's look at this scenario where I think we had this discussion yesterday on the show yesterday. But let's look at this scenario where you have club side not being able not being able to um, release their players on time. In some cases, like the one of
Yes,
Odio example and the one of Demo, like in some cases,
yes.
letting those keeping those players with them. And to be frank, I'm not really happy with it because this only happened with the national
Yes,
team,
yes,
the
yes.
African Cup of Nations, because most of them
African
knew that
continent, yes. It happens in Africa.
most of this club knows that once you are in January, it is crunch time. If it's either you are battling for relegation or you are battling for so what thereabout. So, but don't you think
Yes.
that with all this thing that is happening, it's right time for CAF to sit down with FIFA and other continents, especially the European continent, letting them know that we that the CAF John is back. John is back with us. That the CAF that the CAF I mean, sorry, that the African Cup of Nations is for Africa and it should be respected. We had this discussion
Yes.
yesterday with John and Roland. But I want to hear from you. What's your opinion with regards to this issue
Yes.
between club and country? Club not releasing their players on time. We look at SAR. SAR was just released yesterday. Uh, so on and so forth. So many African players were released so late into the camp. So, what's your opinion with regards to this, Brenda? Brenda, can you hear me, Brenda? Hello, Brenda.
Yeah. Like I would say, there's a proverb that says the name you call your dog. That yes, I can hear you. It's the name you call your dog that people will call it, right? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
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 yes.
yes, I can.
Brenda, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please, we are losing your connection. Okay, John, can you hear me, John?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's just move forward. Let's just move backwards a little bit. Um, I did ask Brenda that can the likes of um, Guinea that parade Keita and other players spring a surprise to the Senegalese in this group.
Hello, can you hear me?
Nah. Okay, I think Brenda is back on.
Okay, hello,
Yes, the
Brenda.
sound is clear.
Okay, go ahead, please. Okay, Brenda, can you hear me? Can you go off and come back, please? Can you hear me now? Okay, John, back to your question. The question I asked you, please.
Yes, I totally doubt that. I don't think the Senegalese should experience any difficulties, especially if it has to come from
Can you hear
Guinea,
me?
because this Guinean team just has a very very little balance in them. The sprinkle of stars, no, I won't even call them stars. Let's just say the sprinkle of little meteors around the team. The team itself cannot stand the test of time when it comes to those Senegalese teams. The Senegalese team should be head and shoulders above them. If anything happens, it will be a huge upset. But that aside, I think the Guinean team should be strong enough to come second in that group. Because the Zimbabwean team, has I don't know what has happened to them in the last year, coming to an AFCON without Kemabiliat, coming to an AFCON without most of their better players. Even their captain is not in the team.
Are we
So
are
I
we sure?
wonder.
Are we sure they will even be in the Afcon? Are we sure?
I believe they will be. I will be. They will. I believe they will be. Except maybe we are going to look at the situation of what happened at the Euros in '92, where Denmark was not originally in the tournament, ended up winning it. But
Yeah.
except for that, I don't think. I think CAF should be able to persuade FIFA, even if FIFA is going to come down on them, they should not disrupt the flow of the tournament. We've had issues with many countries in such situations. They've been able to just shift whatever ban or whatever problem they have just after the tournament, then they sort it. In Euro 2004, Ferdinand was having a ban for missed drug test. But what did the English FA do? They shifted his ban and said his ban would take effect straight after the Euros. So the CAF should be able to just come in and talk to FIFA. Okay, even if you're going to ban this team, you know that we don't have that easy way to go about our logistics as Europeans do. If you give an European team a day now to be in a tournament, definitely you will see them there. But it doesn't work the same when it comes to Africa. If you talk of a team now that say, and you say you are taking out the Zimbabwean team and bringing in the Zambian team, I'm telling you, the very first match of the Zambian team, don't be surprised they might not even have enough players to field because it will be difficult getting them in from everywhere. Then before you even talk about flying them to Cameroon. So in order not just to disrupt the flow of the tournament, it would just be
Yes,
best
yes.
if CAF can just do us that favor. Even if they're going to ban, I'm not saying they shouldn't ban the Zimbabwean team, but just leave it after the tournament and let the tournament flow. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you for that analysis. Brenda, let me come back to you. My question for you is still pending with regards to club and country and club not releasing their players on time. How do you think the CAF, especially the new officials in CAF, how do you expect them after this Nations Cup they should be able to handle this situation you have between club and country? Will my player come? Will my player come to the Nations Cup to play for his country? I want my player to play for his club at this time, especially as I'm battling relegation, like the likes of Watford and other. And also, when you look at players' contract as well, they have this clause telling players not to come play at the middle of the season for their country. So how do you think we can mitigate this whole issue going forward? We all know that the Super Eagles were supposed to have a 28-man squad. Now, currently in Galua, they have a 25-man squad because the likes of Mikalo and Bonaventure Dennis couldn't really dispose themselves to this team. So, but let's see, how do you think we can mitigate this whole situation going forward? Hello, Brenda. I think she's off again. Okay, John, can you take up that question, please?
Well, as I said yesterday about setting up teams and having the players and the clubs. You see, if you don't respect your tournament enough, definitely people will not respect it for you. I made that point very clear yesterday. So if what we have to do is to help our players have more values, I keep saying that most of what we have are one we run our football here just as a business. You understand? In Europe, yes, it's as a business, but definitely the integrity of every tournament is being taken care of. We see Europe now, they're seriously fighting the two-year World Cup deal. Why? They said they have their own tournaments to play. But the moment it came to African table, the very first meeting that Infantino presented it in, Africa passed it. Whereas Europe said
I don't understand. Because there's a financial. I can understand from this angle that there's a financial incentive added to it for a sum of 3 million for teams to make in addition to what they make currently in the World Cup.
World Cup, yes.
But going forward, looking at the Nations Cup, looking at the CAF Champions League. The African Cup of Nations. 2 years, the World Cup 2 years. Don't they think that there'll be too much of football all around? Already now we have too much of football.
Definitely.
Don't they think that there'll be too much of football, too much of tiredness, too much of fatigue for these players? Because the players' welfare should be the number one priority of
consideration.
Yes, to be considered.
Yes, definitely. The player welfare should come into play. That was what I was saying. That you see, when everybody is taking sides, Africa simply looks at the plus and minus in terms of money. I would have not had any issues with that. This money was being fueled back into the leagues, fueled back into the national teams, fueled back into grassroots systems. But most especially in this part of Africa, what do you see? 2 years down the line after that tournament, and you keep hearing issues of FIFA paid us, the money went this, the money went that, the money went. So if it has to even be about the money, it has to be about, let us set our priorities right. Players are coming up to risk themselves, risk their body in order to help you make this money. When the money is finally made, what do you see? An individual is sitting and expecting that he's going to get the whole money. I was talking with someone about the Olympics that went off last year, and the US team in a particular sport, they went with about 60 something athletes and just 2 officials. Nigeria in that same sport went with 2 athletes and 16 officials.
Just in a particular sport.
No, I would think I would leave it like that. I would say in a particular sport. I don't want to raise dust here. In a particular sport, they went with 2 athletes and 16 officials. For heaven's sake, 16 administrators going to just 2 for just 2 athletes. For heaven's sake, is the tournament about the administrators or about the athletes? That's what we always have in terms of football, in terms of FIFA, in terms of international tournaments. People go there not because they want to go there. Some use that time to do their shopping.
Do you also think that this Nations Cup is all about? It's not all about the officials as well.
My guy, it's all about you. I'm not saying anything in that regard, but you and I know how things are. What if you want to answer that question now? Simply go to the glass house and let's see how many people you will meet there.
I'm not talking about Nigeria. I'm also.
I was also. I see. Normally, you can't have any tournament without the administrators. The administrators make things happen. The players are only there because the administrators have done their part. But how can you be administrating a tournament, and it is all about the plus and minus for you? If I spend 1 naira, I should be able to return 10 naira to my own personal account. That is
Okay,
my
okay,
problem.
no problem.
If yes, now
Okay,
the football should be going on, everything should go well.
let's look at Malawi. I just think that
Mm.
Malawi in Group B might be the dark horse in Group B. So because I just think because I look at the players they parade, Brenda is laughing. I look at the players they parade,
Looking at
and
John and the eyes is rolling, and he's obviously telling you that it's not possible.
Miracles like this can't happen.
I look at the players they parade. I just think that they can pimp the likes of Guinea and Zimbabwe for a second spot in that group. But what are their chances, guys? We'll start with you, Brenda. Hello, Brenda. I will start with you. What are the chances of Malawi
For a
bringing up a
team who
surprise?
has had, anyway, John, you have this one. But for a team
Who have had just 3 appearances in the entire AFCON. I don't see any chance. But John, you have this one. Maybe you should give him more analysis and
Okay,
statistics.
John, I'll
Why
give
he
John the
might.
opportunity.
Well, definitely.
as I said, for a team who has
I don't know where to start from. But John, I think you have this one. Yeah, you should take this one. Maybe you should give him more analysis and statistics why
For help,
Malawi doesn't stand a chance. They should just go and have fun
this
and
Malawian team
go
has
home.
coming to the tournament with just 2 players based outside Africa. They are coming.
But
Most
don't
of
you
your
think? But you guys, don't you think it's a plus to them with just two players
no,
coming outside Africa?
no, it is not a plus. It used to be a plus in the Nations Cup before the era of, let's say, the eras of the 2000s, the era of the early 2000s. Then it used to be a plus because then it was what we call jambody football. Then you see a South African team scoring goals from their half, just shooting, everybody shooting. But now football has gone technical. Football has gone technical. You see the best of teams, all they do, they make you will be running after the ball and the ball is running on its own. So at the end, what do you see? You see them at the first half, they are all using their might and the rest, and second half, everybody's cast out, everybody's tired. Because then you now see them being streamrolled. Football has gone far beyond that. If you tell me they are coming up to be dark horses, my brother, I totally doubt that. They're just there to count the numbers and enjoy the beautiful scenery
Um,
of Cameroon.
the British will always say never say never until the fat lady sings. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
it is not
Well,
over
let's hope.
until it is
Let's
over.
just watch and see. Philip, maybe we'll give you a topic of predicting, Malawi second place in the group because there's no place they'll get to the first position in the group. There's no way they're topping the group. So let's hope that we'll give you a topic for
No,
predicting
I'm
Malawi
not expecting. I'm not.
second
For
place.
me, my opinion is that I'm not expecting them to top the group. As I'm expecting them to at least become second, or at least pick one of
Yeah, of
the
course,
best deserved
Playoff
spots.
spot.
Yes, in that.
Mm.
nobody. Yes, nobody would. Nobody should.
Okay, when we look at African football as a whole, um, do we really think that the old style of play is really fading out when you have power, strength, being the order of the day than formation, technicality,
Speed.
and a whole host of others? Do you think that that power and strength is fading out gradually in the African continent, and we have this European style of play? Maybe because we have much more loss of players playing their trade outside the continent of Africa compared to the Europeans, where we will have only few players playing in elite clubs overseas, then being called back home to come and play for their national team. So, do we think that the evolution of African football has gotten to a stage that we are figuring out power and strength in that aspect, John?
I would definitely say so. I would definitely, in fact, it has always been one of my biggest constraints. I believe that makes Africa. If we see Africa now, we just go to. It's almost as if we go to the World Cup now to just to make the numbers, not because of we will intend to, but because of where our football is now. You will see a very good player here in Nigeria. As soon as he goes abroad, they will be teaching the player again. This is how to maintain position. This is how to do this. This is how to do that. As if the player has never ever kicked football before. Why? This same thing is not peculiar to Africa. I believe it's also the problem that the South Americans are having. The South Americans have known that you can't play 2 World Cups without a South American team lifting one of them. But now we've gone almost three segments now. they are almost nowhere to be found.
But there's only one. There's
And
only one South American team. There's only one South American that have dominated the World Cup.
no,
Possibly two,
Brazil
but
did.
one. Brazil.
Brazil
Brazil have
did. Argentina also did. The Uruguays did up to an extent. At least anywhere you take it to, they'll tell you they've won it twice. But my point is this: if you go back to the European, okay, look at it now. The team that performs very well on the South American continent is Chile, but that same team does nothing when it goes to the World Cup. In
why?
fact, it
Why?
struggles to even qualify because when they go back to that continent, they know how to play the continental football. But then they come to Europe and you are trying to bring them into the play, the pass, play the ball, they get lost. Look at the
Why?
Argentines
Why
now.
is it so? Why is
Look
it
at the
so?
Argentines. As good as they were, as good as they have been. In fact, this crop of Messi's like I call it, his galaxy of stars that he has around him. They're almost all of them are at the end of their phase, the end of the phase of their football. But they only took the Copa America last year. Why? They keep coming to South America to play the Selensek type of football. Let's touch, let's play the Barca style. And you see a very good Medel in the midfield, hitting everybody away. So what happens at the end? The grits will take it. But when it comes to Europe, every player, once those South American players come into Europe, they start teaching them afresh. This is how to play positional football. If you look at this, Neymar, take Neymar as a very good example. Neymar refuses to adapt to the European style of football. And today, what do we say? We say no, Neymar plays football like an unserious player. Because what does he do? He will pick the ball and dribble and dribble and dribble. Normally, that is what we know the Brazilians for. Every Brazilian footballer is always there with flair. He's always there with flair. But now, what do you see them? Everyone is now trying to play the ball, play the ball, play the ball. It takes away the originality in your football. By the time you now get to the Europeans, will continue to dominate it. Thank you.
Okay, Brenda, what's your opinion with regards to what the question I asked earlier? Hello, Brenda, can you hear me?
I think our
Hello.
network is having issues.
Okay, maybe our network has failed. Okay, for me, I think I just think that
Yes,
the
I
European side of
totally
it has
agree with
competition.
John. I mean, if you
Okay,
watch
okay, okay,
the
Brenda, go
side
ahead.
of Brazilian football, you fan, can you hear me? Regarding the negligence
So African continent by the European body, allowing players to come. Is that what you mean?
Okay, we're having serious network issue with Brenda. Can you hear me, Brenda? Okay, we'll come back to her. Let her fix the network. Okay, we just have a couple of minutes to the end of the show. Um, John, what's your prediction for this group? Senegal to win the group, I know, but what's the overall picture of the group itself?
I think Senegal should win comfortably, actually. Then I will see Guinea coming second. I don't think there will be any place for either of the other two teams to come as one of the best teams in terms of the best four. I don't think that would be because I'm looking at heavy defeats for them whenever Senegal faces any of them, and that should count in the overall.
Okay, Brenda, how do you see this group finally shaping out? What's your prediction for the group as well?
I think it will remain like this: Senegal, Zimbabwe, or
Senegal, Guinea, Zimbabwe, then Malawi. Senegal, Guinea,
Okay,
Zimbabwe. Or
okay. In terms of that order,
or
okay.
like
Let's look
that.
at
Either way, for Malawi,
is going to take the bottom. Senegal to
okay.
is magneting all the balls. I see
Okay, poor
magneting
network connection from
all
Brenda,
the
please.
balls, even if the players are not
Okay, John, what's your
at their
scoreline?
best.
Okay, Brenda, we are
You know,
lost. We are losing. We can't hear you very well.
So
Losing
Senegal it
with
is for
you.
me. Senegal
Okay, okay,
um
okay,
take
okay. Let me go back to.
top of
Let me
this cup
really go
and
back
perhaps
to
maybe to the final.
um, let me go back to the game's prediction in that group.
So,
John, what's your score? Senegal, Zimbabwe,
3-0.
3-0. Okay.
3-0. Classic,
Guinea,
yes.
Guinea, Guinea versus Malawi. What's your score?
Guinea Malawi, I would say 1-0.
Okay.
1-0.
Um. Okay. There's a piece of good news. Coming into the African Nations Cup, where I know we talked about officials yesterday, where we'll be having for the very first time a female official from Rwanda as a center referee in the African Cup of Nations. What positive can we take out from? I think I would love to ask Brenda that question. But what positive can we take out from that, from this development in the Cup of Nations?
Well, I believe that shows where we are going to. Yesterday, Roland was all about Nigeria not having an official, having just an assistant ref in the tournament. But I think that shows where we are going to. It's not. I'll keep saying it's not about the country. It's about personal development. The Rwandan league is not a league to mention, but you can see a lady
Do they
has
even,
developed her
do they have
points.
do they even have a league? Sorry to say that with Rwanda. Sorry, if there's
They
any
do, they
Rwanda.
do, they do, they do.
Okay.
AS Rwanda plays somewhere, APR plays somewhere, so they do have a league. But an official has taken it upon herself to develop herself up to that point that today she's been picked up by the by CAF to play to officiate in the tournament. So it's all about personal development for me, not really. And I think we are heading in the right way.
Okay, Brenda, what's your prediction for it? Can you hear me, Brenda? Brenda, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and
Okay,
clear.
if you can hear me, what's your prediction for the game that we played on the 10th of February between Senegal and Zambia? Scoreline,
Yeah, I
please.
can hear you loud and clear.
Scoreline, please. Okay,
Yes,
she can't hear us.
yes,
She can't hear us up to now. But
yes.
okay, okay. We have come to the end of the show today. Unfortunately enough, Roland couldn't join us because he was caught up somewhere.
Yes.
Hopefully, he will be on the show tomorrow. I will have two. I will have two persons on the show tomorrow. On the show, so that we'll look at Group B and possibly Group C. Sorry, so that and possibly look at uh,
Yes, I can hear
Group
you
C.
The,
loud
Definitely,
and
we'll look
clear.
at Group C tomorrow. Can you hear me, Brenda? Okay, Brenda is off. So we'll possibly look at Group C tomorrow. Then on Saturday we are going to look at. We are going to have a long show on Saturday. Hopefully on Saturday, 11 a.m. on Saturday, we'll have a long show, maybe a 2 hours show. Talk about the other groups in the tournament. So we want to end our group prediction on Saturday, hopefully, and
all
see.
right.
So final words, John, please.
Well, just as I keep saying, we don't know next is the place to be. Want to get all your analysis for the Nations Cup and all, we are here. Thanks, Phyllis, for having me.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. So please kindly
All right.
click on the subscribe button to help us promote our channels and grow our to help us promote Football Nutmeg channel and grow the channel as well. It is our channel and it's nobody's channel. Hopefully, we will be back here tomorrow to talk about Group C. Thank you so much and for being here with us today. Thank you.